Ash, great to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I remember when Pulse was announced, right? Like even before cast and everything, medical drama,
Yeah, just the
Netflix.
show itself was
Yes,
announced. Yeah.
exactly. It's interesting, right? Like, because it's like the vehicles of promotions and the waves, right? And now, like, very soon people are going to be able to see what you're working on. Is it not? Is it crazy right now?
Oh, like tomorrow. I get so nervous when I think about it because you spend and it's interesting too because we started shooting March of
Yeah.
last year. So this time last year, and then we wrapped like July, August, and I say this all the time. It's something I would watch even if I weren't in it. So
Absolutely.
I really hope that it resonates with people the same way it resonated with me.
So it's interesting, right? Because at some point you're going to get the scripts, and depending on the TV show or film, they give you a lot in advance. Sometimes they don't. When you kind of officially start getting the scripts, and then it's like kind of like a couple of weeks before actually going to set. What's that script to screen like journey for you with Pulse specifically? What's it like reading everything and then seeing it come to life on screen?
With Pulse, it was so interesting because once we signed on, everybody got the first four scripts. Those were the only scripts written. And then the writer's room was working on scripts 6 through 10.
Okay.
So Zoe had done 1 through 4. And, you sign on basically after having read the first script. And then the rest is like what producers have told you about your character. But then actually reading your character and how they speak and getting a feel for who they are, that was so cool for me because Nia is so similar to how I am in real life and she speaks the way that I speak. And then getting to set, I was like, we have 4 sound stages on the Netflix studio lot in Albuquerque. And I just was like seeing the hospital for the first time and how huge they built that set. I was like, oh my God, this is a whole world. It's a
Mhm.
whole world they created. Um,
Absolutely.
so fun.
Pulse is a medical drama. So I said two things there, right? I said medical and I said drama.
Mhm.
And the show does an amazing job of having a lot of different elements in it, and it's fast paced at times and a little slower with character developments. Take me through, reading the scripts and then kind of filming it and seeing that kind of balance that I'm talking about a lot of the kind of the, hospital kind of aspect of it and emergency rooms, but then also the, drama and character growth and arc, because I think the writers did an amazing job. But what was that like, kind of that balance of both of them specifically?
I think that that's the beauty of Zoe Robin and the world that she created and her writing.
Mhm.
I think we deal with when you watch a medical drama, you want to feel the stakes of life and death. We deal with that, but in this fresh way of it's not, constant through every single episode where, oh my God, sometimes we really will just go down this rabbit hole of Danny and what she's grappling with and the sexual harassment and a potential
Yes.
loss and then what every character is dealing with in their own life. And then when you do come back to the medical side, it's like instantly back to being like high stakes again, and you care so deeply about everybody. And so I think that that's what kind of makes us unique as a medical drama is that we have that balance done really well in a fresh way. And then we're also set in Miami, which is just like it's such a unique backdrop for this type of show.
Yeah.
So a really exciting watch.
I do find it also interesting as well because so much happens before we go to camera on something like this. So, from an acting storyteller perspective, you can see there's two journeys, right? Ash, you can see before filming Pulse and after filming Pulse, or do you see it as one big journey with multiple steps in between? I'm curious about that.
I feel as if it's one big journey.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that the way that it's portrayed and hopefully the way it resonates with people, that's how it'll be taken in. Um,
Mhm.
you know, just one big journey.
Absolutely. I know as an actor, you try not to do this, but given, like you said, there's a lot of kind of specific kind of, you know, things that happen with certain characters and their plots, and like there's some twists at times, and there's some stuff you might not see coming. Are you ever conscious of the audience member watching Pulse while you make it? Or is that something that kind of happens a little bit after you wrap, so to speak?
Yeah, that's a great question. I try not to be conscious of that. I try
Okay.
to be so immersed in my character and
Yep.
honest in my portrayal. Because I think that that's always what sits with people the most is honesty. I think human beings have a sixth sense for authenticity, whether we like it or
Mhm.
not. And so every time I approach a role, I really try to hone in on how can I, as honestly as possible, portray this person. And then, you get the episodes and you kind of have to remove yourself. At least I do. I
Yeah.
have to forcibly tell myself that I'm not watching myself so that I don't critique me as me. I just watch objectively. And then I'm like, okay, that actually
Mhm.
worked.
Yeah.
We did it.
No, absolutely. And I'm curious about the research involved with Pulse specifically because I feel like there's like two different types of research that could be done for this. Because one, medical drama, you could just kind of, watch like, medical like medical documentaries and like, you can like just study, go on like hospital websites and search like certain things. But you can also like go back and watch like medical dramas because there's been a lot of medical dramas. Would you say there's a bit of both? Was there one like did you watch a lot of medical dramas? Did you do a lot of kind of like were you ever maybe gonna do shadowing?
I know that a few of the castmates of mine that were playing like, I know Jessie Yates because she's in
Yep.
a wheelchair and she is playing a doctor. Her role was based on a real doctor, I think, who's at the Mayo Clinic, and she went and shadowed him and was able to see how he, works in a hospital with his disability. I know that Willa as well went and shadowed someone, I think, at USC. For me, I have a friend who is friends with a paramedic who I got on the phone with and had a whole like entire conversation breaking things down. And then I watched a lot of like YouTube documentaries of like just EMTs, and because their job is so stressful and it's something
Mhm.
that isn't always portrayed in a medical drama. If they are, it tends to be like, they're kind of like background actors.
Yep.
And so it was so exciting for me to be able to play an EMT and be part of the forefront of the story. And I severely underestimated the physicality involved, with handling not only the stretcher but patients. Like, we were doing that take after take. There was nobody helping. It was us in every shot. So it was a unique undertaking.
Absolutely. I'm curious to know if there were ever moments where like the pace of filming the show was really kind of different than certain days because we know about it. There's some very long days sometimes, and sometimes there's like some shorter days. But were there some days or some scenes where they weren't like kind of the norm of Pulse, where it like felt a lot quicker, it felt a lot slower? Like, take me through that because these are the type of questions I ask to kind of dive into specific scenes and everything.
Yeah, I mean, the first scene I shot is my opening scene of episode 1.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it was so fast paced. It was something I had never really done before as an actor, because not only was the dialogue needing to be like very quick, we're getting out the ambulance and we're updating the surgeons. And then there's the dynamic of Dr. Tom Cole when he meets me and he's just like, like, what? And so I'm trying just to remember my lines. And then I'm also like navigating the stretcher that just wants to swing around every corner. And then I'm lifting the actor. And so it took a lot of rehearsal. And it was nice to be able to have those really challenging days. And then the slow days of when I'm just in my hospital bed and it's just, me and Jack
Mhm.
Bannon, or, me and Jessica Roth. And I thought like, oh, this is so easy. Like, I'm just like in a hospital bed today, like saying my lines. And then I learned that it's so difficult to feel that it's very constricting, to
Yep.
just be in a hospital bed and having to evoke everything. And so that became a challenge in and of itself, like still, being able to have that energy, while being restricted to just sitting in a bed.
Absolutely. And then last question before we wrap up, and you can answer this in regards to Pulse, but you could just answer this in general because you mentioned in the beginning of the interview, the show's going to drop worldwide on Netflix tomorrow, and it's crazy and it's insanity, and it's crazy how quick some people are going to probably binge it, and then you're going to wake up wherever you are, have breakfast, and then across all the different time zones, people have already binged the whole show
Yes.
already, which is crazy. Um, one of the coolest things about storytelling is the global kind of component of it. We are able to watch shows from all around the world, right? And people from all around the world are able to watch a lot of things. Take me through when you really started to notice the global impact of content and TV shows throughout your career as an actor and storyteller.
I think Stranger Things was the first show where I realized, oh, it's not just people here in America that are watching it. Like if I come across a post on Instagram about the show and then I click on the comments because I'm a huge fan of Stranger Things, then I'm seeing, all these different comments from different languages being posted. And I'm like, oh, this is a global sensation. And I think
Yep.
that in terms of television, that's a new thing
Oh, yeah.
because, ever since like Spider-Man, when they released it globally, the first Tobey Maguire one, like we've had like global
Oh,
sensation.
I remember exactly where I was.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
there's nothing cooler.
No, I know. I remember going to like the theater the night that it premiered with like my popcorn, and I was like, Spider-Man. But but I think for TV, like this is a new thing, and it's so exciting to be a part of that. That wasn't always the plan when we joined Pulse. It was like a few weeks into shooting when we learned that Netflix was planning to release it globally, and we were like, oh my God, like we're going to be we're dubbed in so many languages like this.
So funny you mentioned Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man because I just spoke to Sean Ashmore for a project recently and we were talking about the X-Men movies and like
such a fan of him in X-Men.
I know, but like there was nothing cooler than those movies. Like, there was like nothing.
And X-Men, like,
yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah, those were my bread and butter growing up.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool to know that like on the TV side, Pulse is gonna join in on that. It's it's really unique.
Very happy for you and the cast and crew. Congratulations. April 3rd, worldwide on Netflix. They're going to be able to check that out. That is Pulse. Ash, so great chatting with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. I hope this is the first of many.
Absolutely. Can you plug away? Is there an Instagram account people keep up to date with?
Yes, Ash M. Santos. You can follow me on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, this has been Pop Turnitive, youtube.com/PopTurnitive for previous episodes. PopTurnitive.com has other content as well. You can, of course, catch Ash and Pulse. Going to be premiering worldwide on Netflix April 3rd. Until next time, it's Ash and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Turnitive. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Turnitive on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.